The movie begins with an experienced fisherman sailing out into the open sea. As he casts his net, something unusual happens. The net gets stuck deep underwater. Curious and concerned, the fisherman dives in to free it but doesn't return. Soon, a massive school of fish surrounds him, cutting off his way back. Meanwhile, in Germany, a lighthouse keeper named Charlie is chatting with her colleagues about world events when her monitor picks up a strange signal. She immediately checks it out and has to swim into the ocean to retrieve a sensor that had gotten tangled in a fishing net. Back in Canada, a young whale researcher named Leon is called to Vancouver's City Beach, where a massive killer whale had washed ashore just hours earlier. After examining the whale, Leon boards a fishing dock to investigate which illegal fisherman may have injured the creature. An old fisherman invites Leon onto his boat and shows him the side of his vessel, bitten and damaged. He claims a whale tried to capsize them, forcing them to kill it to survive. Though Leon is skeptical, the old man insists he's telling the truth. Charlie and her new partner repair and relaunch the oceanic sensor, designed to track marine animal populations. They notice unusually large amounts of methane ice floating around the boat, much more than usual. Eventually, Leon picks up the sound of whales and realizes they're being spotted in different coastal areas. Before heading out to sea, he calls his girlfriend Lizzie, who has already taken a group of tourists on a whale-watching tour. Suddenly, a massive whale appears near Leon's boat. It lingers for a few minutes before diving underwater, but then a whole pod of killer whales surfaces near Lizzie's vessel. She calls the tourists to the deck, and everyone is thrilled to watch the majestic creatures up close. Even a humpback whale swims up to the boat, delighting the crowd. However, Leon senses something is wrong. He tries to warn Lizzie, but it's too late. The whale suddenly rams into the boat. Leon rushes to the site of the accident, trying to rescue the survivors. But now, the pod of killer whales starts attacking the tourists one by one. Despite his efforts, Leon can't save Lizzie. The scene shifts to a French restaurant where a chef is preparing lobster. One lobster squirts a strange liquid on his face. Though he brushes it off and keeps working, by evening, he and two other cooks begin feeling extremely ill. That night, the chef dies, and the other two are rushed to the ICU, where doctors run tests to understand the cause. At the same time, an oceanic research vessel lowers a camera deep into the sea, where they previously spotted ice worms. The scientists collect a few for study and make a shocking discovery. The creatures have sharp jaws and are reproducing at an extremely fast rate. A commission concludes that a new species of worms and bacteria has been discovered. Leon Aunges interviews the owner of another fishing boat who claims to have seen humpback whales attacking ships. Leon also learns something strange. Ships returning from sea had thick, unfamiliar shell-like coatings on their undersides, never seen before. A team of scientists sends a soil sampler to the ocean floor near the worm site, but due to methane leakage, a massive explosion occurs. The ship survives, but the team is terrified, not just by the accident, but by the alarming test results. They discover that the deep sea harbors not only mutated worms, but ice-eating bacteria that could eventually spread across the ocean floor. Jazz, one of Charlie's colleagues, is recording a video message when the monitors suddenly flash alarming readings. The water beneath their ship begins to boil, and an unseen force pulls the vessel into the depths. The story jumps to Venice, where a young man stands on a bridge reading poetry. His book falls into the canal, and as he looks down, he sees something horrifying: thousands of giant jellyfish rising to the surface. Meanwhile, tests on the infected chef's body reveal a new strain of bacteria that absorbs blood cells. It's also discovered that many patrons who dined at the same seaside restaurant have died. Leon finally receives permission to perform a post-mortem on a killer whale. Though there's nothing alarming in its body, he discovers a strange unknown object lodged in its brain and sends it for analysis. Elsewhere, another infection case surfaces, this time involving a young man working at a car wash. The scientists soon realize that all the infections are somehow connected. The bacteria have spread through the restaurant's water supply system. Leon receives news of new whale attacks, and as he examines a map, a disturbing pattern emerges. The changes in whale behavior are happening exactly during their migration routes. To test his theory, Leon dives into a region where whales are known to rest. The dive is almost fatal, but he manages to attach a camera to one of the whales and barely escapes. Meanwhile, it's discovered that Japanese scientists have also found these mysterious worms, but they are in no hurry to alert the world. In their labs, analysis of the recorded footage reveals something shocking. Leon's footage shows that the pod of whales had descended to the deepest trenches of the ocean, where they encountered strange, glowing objects. Elsewhere, a bizarre incident unfolds near the coast of a small village. Thousands of crabs suddenly swarm the streets. The latest recording from the seabed finally reveals the secret behind all this. A major oil and gas company had illegally drilled into a restricted icy seabed zone, severely damaging the ocean floor for several kilometers. Leon sneaks into the port area, hoping to collect more samples of the strange mussels found on the ship hulls. But he gets caught by security guards and is arrested. The next morning, Mr. Sato, the Japanese ship owner, contacts Leon. He forbids him from ever entering his property again, but promises to share all the necessary data for Leon's research. Back in Germany, Charlie finally receives the last video message recorded by Jazz just before the disaster. She watches it closely and notices something strange: faint glowing lights behind the window. Meanwhile, crabs collected from coasts all over the world are brought into the lab. Analysis reveals that their bodies also contain the same strange substance, one that rapidly absorbs human blood cells. Charlie repeatedly reviews the video, trying to detect anything else. Suddenly, she hears a sound, one that eerily matches an audio pattern found in an ancient deep-sea recording. She immediately sends the audio sample to her lab and urges her team to investigate it further. However, her strict boss, Katrina, dismisses the idea, calling it nothing more than random ocean noise. She tells Charlie to stop overthinking and instead prepare to shut down the station for the winter. Later, though, Katrina reconsiders Charlie's theory and decides to test it. A helicopter soon arrives, bringing a team of scientists to the island along with a deep-water communication device. Just as Sigurta, the lead scientist, is about to hand over the device, an emergency alert comes from the mainland. A massive tsunami is heading toward the coast. Sigurta immediately warns Charlie, and the helicopter team evacuates. During a global conference, scientists present alarming findings. These bacteria are not random. They are targeting humans deliberately. Soon, everyone is told to avoid all water sources. Leon tries warning his fishermen friends, but most of them refuse to leave their coastal homes. Rahim, one of Leon's colleagues, joins him at the institute to attend the global scientific conference. There, leading scientists debate what's really happening. Many believe a greater intelligence is trying to drive humans away from the sea, but Katrina remains skeptical. The scientists name this unknown intelligence the R. They present their theory to government officials, claiming that marine creatures are being infected by this new bacterial intelligence and are attacking humans with intention. But government officials scoff at the idea and demand real, scientific solutions instead of alien communication theories. Then, Samantha Grow, an astrophysicist, stands up in support of the scientists. She says, the strange underwater signals resemble the structure of a foreign language, and adds that similar signals have been detected in Antarctica. A Japanese businessman believes in Sigurta's theory and agrees to fund a secret mission, hoping it might save the planet. Sigurta announces the mission and gives everyone 48 hours to prepare. Only those willing to take the ultimate risk should come. The scientists return home to say goodbye to their families. Some face emotional resistance from loved ones, but deep down everyone knows this might be humanity's last chance to make things right. According to their calculations, the most intelligent bacteria seem to be concentrated in a valley beneath Antarctica, possibly surviving there for millions of years. The team prepares to establish first contact with them and even allows a young journalist to document the mission. Finally, strange signals start appearing on the ship's instruments. The team is ready to begin communication. Samantha formulates a bold plan. She wants to add the sound of a crying human baby into the signal they're sending, hoping it might provoke a compassionate response from the unknown entity. Charlie asks a colleague to help her descend to the deep-sea trench in a special diving capsule. The ship anchors, and the scientists begin transmitting the audio signal. Meanwhile, Charlie and her partner enter the capsule and prepare for descent. The whole team anxiously waits for a response. Then suddenly, movement appears on the radar. The sensors pick up a new signal. The capsule team tries to contact the ship, but their communication cuts off. The capsule's communication system shuts down. Charlie and Luther report that their fans have stopped working and oxygen is running low, but their voices don't reach the ship above. Luther prepares to bring the capsule back up, but just then, Charlie notices something moving outside. She immediately shuts off the lights to observe more clearly. Meanwhile, on the ship, the crew detects something strange approaching. Sigurta urges the captain to bring the capsule back immediately, but all efforts to make contact fail. Unwilling to take any more risks, Luther starts ascending. A hatch on the ship opens to receive the capsule into a special chamber. Inside the capsule, Charlie sees a strange glow, but chooses not to tell anyone about it. At the same time, Samantha announces that contact has been established. A response signal has returned, and the baby's cry that was transmitted earlier has now changed, indicating that the bacteria have understood the message. Dr. Chase continues working on a treatment for those already infected by the bacteria. Luther tells the journalist that he didn't see anything unusual down in the depths, and perhaps whatever Charlie saw was just her imagination. Still, Samantha begins decoding the signals in an attempt to craft a response that the intelligence can understand. While the journalist is filming near the capsule chamber, she notices a glow in the pool. Suddenly, all lights on the ship go out, and strange disturbances occur. When power is restored, the captain checks the monitors and sees the journalist collapsed on the floor. Dr. Chase rushes to help her and notices an unusual fluid on her lips, something that resembles brain spinal fluid. Samantha informs the captain and the team that a signal surge occurred during the electrical disturbance. The surge was at such a low frequency that no one heard it, but most shockingly, it came from inside the ship. Charlie, quietly listening to the discussion, is racked with guilt. She knows she brought something glowing from the deep sea into the ship, but she can't bring herself to confess it yet. Meanwhile, Leon visits the infected girl, now showing strange skin patterns. Dr. Chase needs a spinal fluid sample from the girl to analyze what's happening inside her. With Leon's help, they manage to restrain her and collect the sample. Back in the lab, Chase compares the girl's test results to earlier samples. The mysterious substance found inside deep-sea creatures is now present in her spinal cord. Dr. Chase concludes that the bacteria are trying to merge with the human host at a cellular level. Charlie finally confesses that she saw the glowing object with them when they returned from the deep. Inspired by the new developments, Samantha records a new message, this time embedding an audio image from an astrophysicist into the signal. Then, without permission, Charlie sneaks into the sealed compartment. As she approaches the pool, the glow returns, this time forming strange geometrical shapes in the water. At that exact moment, Samantha receives a response to the last message. Mr. Mafoto shows her the pool camera recordings alongside the image embedded in the response. According to the astrophysicist, the image shows the super ocean, an ancient global ocean that existed millions of years ago, encircled by a supercontinent. Scientists believe the bacteria are not just communicating, but reminding humans, "We were here before you, we are still here, and we will outlast you." Their message is simple and chilling. The bacteria's message is now clear: leave the oceans alone, stop destroying them. But there's still hope. Because the bacteria are responding, the team believes there's a chance to negotiate with them. Meanwhile, Dr. Chase develops a drug that can destroy the bacteria that feed on human blood cells. This discovery divides the team. Mafoto insists they should test it in the pool immediately, and if it works, prepare to wipe out the bacteria entirely. But Sigurta strongly disagrees. He says they must not act until they're sure communication is no longer an option. Trying to find middle ground, Dr. Chase suggests they test the drug only in the pool and not rush into releasing it into the ocean. She and Luther begin the experiment. The moment the drug is introduced into the water, a high-pitched screech fills the room and the glass walls shatter. Both Chase and Luther are knocked unconscious. Chase wakes up and tries desperately to perform CPR on Luther, but it's too late. He's gone. Suddenly, the ship's propulsion system fails, leaving it adrift. Within seconds, the ship crashes into a massive iceberg. Then something even stranger happens. The ship starts moving backward on its own. The team realizes the bacteria underneath the ship are controlling it. Samantha suspects the screech in the pool was transmitted into the ocean, maybe as a signal, but now the ship won't stay afloat much longer. The captain demands to know why they aren't just eliminating the bacteria altogether. Sigurta warns that when they try to destroy even a small portion of it, the consequences were catastrophic. If they attack the entire intelligence, things could get far worse. Now, their only hope is to try and communicate. They come up with a risky plan: inject the white substance into Luther's body and send it down to the deepest part of the bacteria's habitat in a show of cooperation. Charlie volunteers to pilot the submersible. Just then, the ship is violently jolted again. Another iceberg. The bacteria are forcing them into a trap. Sigurta orders the team to evacuate, but Mafoto and others stay behind to complete the mission. The bacteria pile more icebergs around the ship, locking it in completely. Luther's body is loaded into the sub. Charlie begins her descent. For a long time, all she sees is darkness. Then, the glow begins to appear. Now, at the right depth, Charlie makes a painful decision. Since Luther is already dead, she decides to sacrifice herself to make the message more meaningful. Everyone on the ship watches in sorrow. Charlie injects herself with the white substance, lets the sub flood, and begins to drown. Soon, the glowing bacteria approach. They extract her from the sub and begin merging with her body. Back on the surface, the icebergs mysteriously vanish, and the ship is released. Sometime later, Charlie's body washes up on a distant shoreline. She's alive. As her eyes slowly open, they glow with the same blue light. The series ends on this haunting and powerful note, leaving us with the question, what if we're not alone in our oceans? and nature itself is fighting back. If you enjoyed this breakdown of this thrilling and thought-provoking ocean horror series, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with fellow sci-fi lovers. And tell us in the comments, do you think humans should leave the deep sea alone, or is it too late? For more intense recaps like this, subscribe and turn on the notification bell. We'll see you in the next one.